What is up, ladies and gentlemen? John Collins, Risen Holster Co. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to our Making Your Holster series. We're going to continue on today, making two holsters today. Both of them are going to be our new Protector 2.0s, the flexible Appendix rigs. And both of these ones, the thing that's going to make them a little different from what we've done in the past is they are going to be light-bearing variants. So as of now, on the website, it's still not possible to select a light-bearing Protector 2.0. We're wrapping that into a whole bunch of major website changes that we're doing right now, trying to get things organized out so it's a little bit easier for you guys as you're sorting through all the different makes and models and light options and all the things, trying to just kind of get that a little bit more organized, and it's getting wrapped in with all of that. So as of now, it's still not available on the website, but if you guys do have a light-bearing gun that you are looking for a holster for, particularly the Protector 2.0, since we don't have those light-bearing variants, you can reach out to us and we can work with you guys trying to get it set up so that you can still order that. So this would be another example of that. We've had a couple of them in the past, this guy as well, getting a couple of holsters from us that are going to be light-bearing variants. So any interest, please reach out through the Contact Us page or through our email at info@risenholsterco.com. Anyway, we're going to get into these today. I'm going to show you a couple little things that I have learned using these light-bearing rigs, and then just for the Protector 2.0 in general, and we're going to get into it. So stick around. Alright, so here are all of our molds. So the two different combos that we're making. First one is going to be for a Glock 43X MOS. This is for the 48 mold with a TLR7 sub. The reason we use a 48 is it's just the longer slide, so all we're doing is cutting this back. This gentleman actually has the Radian ramjet on the end of his 43X, so we do want a little bit of extra length on that slide portion anyways. So we're going to do one of these, and then we're also going to be doing a Glock 19 with TLR1. You'll notice here this is actually for the polymer 80 and again Glock 34 length. When we order these molds, typically I like to always order them. If it's just a difference in slide length amongst a bunch of different models of gun, then I will order the longest slide length, and then you can just cut them back. It allows you to get a lot more bang for your buck out of these molds instead of having to buy the individual ones. Some people do buy the individual ones because they like having that more closed design on the end of the slide, but in doing so, one, you have to buy a mold for each individual one, and then the other thing is, as a customer buying one of these things, a lot of times we get our gun, it's a bone stock gun with a light, we buy the holster for it, but then if it's a closed end, then if we ever wanted to do a threaded barrel or a compensator or anything like that, then we're limited on having to get another holster in order for it to fit. With these open-ended designs, it might have a little bit protruding through at some point if you get into, you know, I ordered it for a Glock 19, but then I threw a big old compensator on the end of it. Now it's going to stick out the end of the holster, but the holster is still usable at that point, and it prevents you from having to get an entirely new holster. Now the reason we're using the polymer 81, I think I've talked about this in the past, but when you are going between polymer 80 and Glock and a lot of other Gen 3 Glock clone type stuff like the PSA Dagger and the SCT manufacturing frames, what I found is that the polymer 80 mold tends to fit across all of them, especially when you get into the light-bearing variant. So particularly for your bigger lights like your TLR1s, the new HLX TLR1s, the X300, and some of the stuff like that, what we'll do is get the polymer 81, and then it has all the clearance up in the slide and in the frame portion for the Glock, and all your retention is right here on your light anyway. So the light's going to grab onto the holster, and it's going to do everything it needs to do there. And then again, I can use one mold across a bunch of different ones and then save some money there, and also give a little bit of extra fitment down the road. You decide to put a different frame on your slide for your Glock, then most likely your holster will still work. Now the only thing you do want to keep in mind with this is just because this is light bearing does not mean that that works all the way across the board. Your smaller lights like your Streamlight TLR7, that's going to require a dedicated Glock 19 mold, just because at that point you can see the width of the light here, because it's got all that surface area is what makes this work. You get into the smaller lights, there's less surface area, and they start to really depend on the dimension from the bottom of the light to the top of the slide. So if you try to do a polymer 80 TLR7 but you tried to make it for a Glock, the difference in dimension typically is that the slide portion is going to be just a little bit taller, and because the frame dimensions, it sets the light lower, all that kind of stuff. So for the TLR7, you end up with a little bit too much play here, and it doesn't fit quite as well as what it should. So for all of our TLR7 molds, we do have dedicated Glock molds for that. But for the bigger ones, we typically go with these P80s. Now, as far as making the holsters themselves, what we've been figuring out with doing these, particularly on the mag side, and you'll notice again, this is also for the P80 because they use Glock mags, so the Glock magazine works all the way across the board with that. One of the things that I have found though is that your retention points are on this side of the magazine, so if you were to orient this the way it's going to be actually made up, your magazine retention points are actually on the mag itself or on this side, but your retention point for the holster is on the back. So the problem being is that there is nothing on this side minus this one hole here that is one of the holes that is meant to tie the two halves together. There's a rivet that'll go through that, but this whole section up here does not have anything to kind of hold that side of the mag together. And if you just rely on these two sides of retention, then as you tighten these down, what happens is this side kind of even wants to open up. If not, it just doesn't put any extra retention. And you can crank these two things down as tight as you want and you still don't get retention on the magazine. So what I've been doing is actually adding a third rivet up here so that this is pinched together. That way when you tighten these, it actually is clamping down properly onto the mold. If I was to change one thing personally about these is that I would probably fix this side, have these two being pinched together, and then put one retention point over here that would actually have your retention washer in it. That way you can pinch more closely around where the magazine indentions are and be able to do a little bit more fine tuning with your mag retention. But that'll be a day when we can make our own molds. As of now, that we are still relying on mold makers like Pale Horse, then we're at the liberty of the kind of stuff that they can come out with. So we're making do. It just would be something that I would probably change if I was to make them myself. So anyway, for these guys, there really isn't a whole lot that we have to do as far as the blocking goes, just because there's not a lot of blocking in these styles of mold. Now, one thing we do need to make sure that we do, because we are using a P80 mold for this instead of the Glock mold, all your new Gen 5s and up have ambidextrous slide releases, so I do need to put a piece of blocking on in the vicinity of where that slide release would be. That way, because this is being used for a Glock, we actually do have the clearance for that slide release there. Besides that, I will have the spot here for blocking for our belt clip. So we use this over here. That'll go there. And then what I'll do is add another one here. And the purpose for that being is that it gives you the option to run this clip on either side of the holster. So what benefit you get from that is, I'll use two different clips here just to give you an idea. Typically, if I was just running this as an Appendix holster, what I would do is block both of these pieces up to the exact same height. That way it sits evenly on your belt when you have your clips on there. But being that this is working such that you have a clip over here and a clip here, then you don't need to have these be the same height. But what we're going to do is have the option, if you need a wider space, like you run your belt buckle in front of your waistline and you need space for that belt buckle, you can run both of these outside here. But what you can also do is move this one in if you don't need this extra space in the middle. And what that's going to allow is, by the time that the mod wing is on here, you'll have a longer space between the belt clip and the mod wing, and that's going to allow a lot more rotation to be able to really tuck the grip of this firearm in really tight for concealment purposes. So that will be the reason why you'll see two pieces of blocking here, and that towards the end as I'm assembling, I usually will just stick them here just because that's kind of where you typically are going to put them, but it gives the customer the option to move it back and forth should they want to. So I'm going to get this blocked up. I'm going to get the other one blocked up. Like I said, the other one is just a standard 48 MOS. So again, piece of blocking here, piece of blocking here. And then because these are all based off of the older Gen 4 stuff, there's no need for a piece of blocking up here for an ambidextrous mag release. But we'll get them all blocked up. We're going to throw them over on the press, get them pulled with vacuum, and run through the whole assembly process. And for that, I'm just going to throw some music in the background, or it'll just be the background noise of the tools, and we're going to run through the whole thing and then get it all assembled. And then at the end, we'll show you all the finished product. So hope you enjoy. here we go. Obviously got to clean them up a little bit. Got a couple little burrs in there in that hole. Got, of course, get all the little extra bits of dust and everything out of them. But there you have it. It is a Protector 2.0 flexible appendix rig. I'm sure you saw previous, I did put a bend in these. This is not something that they do at Pale Horse to have the mold already pre-bent like that. But if you leave these straight and try to just attach them together, you end up with having a lot of issues. This straight section here will want to press against the back of your pants, which then in turn wants to kick this side out, which obviously this side's going to have the grip of the firearm in it. So having this bent a little bit gives that little bit of curvature, allows it to follow along with the front of your stomach, and then it gives this room to be able to have the wing actually do its job and press backwards. And again, like I said in the last time, at the beginning of the video, having the two different mounting positions here, you can see you got this little bit of space to work with, which is adequate, works great. For some people, that's all you want. But if you do need to have a little bit of extra pushback here, one, you can switch over to your taller wing. So I put the smaller, this is for that 43X MOS, so this has got the shorter wing on it, but you can go with the taller wing to get a little bit of extra kickback, but you can also just move this clip over to this position, and because you have a longer space here, it allows it to push just a little bit further. So it's not, like right now it's pushing, but it's also going to be fighting against the clip when it pushes back, whereas on this side, it can definitely push a little bit further. So it allows you to fine tune a few things, get a little bit of extra concealment if you need it, and just kind of mess around with how this is going to fit the best on you. One other thing you might notice is I have to adjust these just a hair. This clip is sitting just a hair lower than this one. That's because these pre-drilled spots are to match up with the mod wing. Now if I was to put this blocking up in line with these holes, what it does is it makes the concealment nice and deep. It would actually probably conceal really well that way, but it takes a little bit of that adjustment out. It keeps you from being able to have this sit up just high enough. For some people, if you're wearing like gym shorts or something like that, you have more of an elastic band, this will have a tendency to want to sink some. So that deeper concealment right off the bat is going to make it hard to get a hold of the grip. Whereas having this up just a little bit higher gives you the ability to adjust it a little bit. It's always easier to adjust deeper in. It's hard when, depending on where you put the blocking, to be able to adjust it back up because you don't have the holes below. So mounting these just a little bit lower just gives you that little bit of extra fine tuning adjustment to be able to get that grip right where you want it above your belt line. But other than that, these two are ready to go. They are branded, and going to clean them up, package them, and get them out to their rightful owner. Thanks you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you guys sticking through the whole thing. If, like I said, if you are looking for a light bearing Protector 2.0, definitely reach out. I can't promise that we are going to do every single combination that we have available right now. That is one of the things we're doing on the website, is trying to tailor things over more to the molds that we have, the more popular stuff, and kind of get away from hand forming as much as we do hand form now. But if you guys have a fairly popular combination, like your X Macro, SIG, Smith & Wesson, Glock, that kind of stuff, definitely reach out because we have molds for it and can get molds for it. So thanks for tuning in. God bless, and I'll see you guys in the next one.